Chapter 1758. Are you her adoptive father, Mr. Tang Shan? What adoptive father? I'm her biological father. Sir, as far as I know, Ningxi has long broken off contact with her biological parents. Ning Yaohua walked a little further away and lowered his voice. You're Ningxi's agent. Where did you hear this nonsense? Put Cici on the phone right now. Sorry, sir. Everyone who is familiar with Ningxi knows that she doesn't answer private calls at work. Hearing the sound of the phone being hung up, Ning Yaohua was so angry that his face darkened. Seeing Ning Yaohua's angry face, Ning Xuelua's eyes lit up. Dad, what's wrong? Nothing. Ning Yaohua certainly wouldn't tell her that he was humiliated by a little agent on the phone. He coughed and said, Cici is busy and can't answer the phone. Ning Xuelua looked understanding. My sister is so popular now. She must be very busy. I'm afraid it won't be easy to ask her to come out. Zhuang Lingyu sneered. She just starred in a few movies. She's so arrogant. Xueluo, when you were popular, she was nowhere to be found. Now she's trying every means to drive you out of the entertainment circle and rob you of all your resources. How dare she put on airs in front of us? Ning Ziyuan glanced at them unhappily. That's enough. If Cici is busy, let's forget about it. What's the fuss? If you had disclosed Xueluo's affair from the beginning instead of deceiving her, Xueluo wouldn't have become like this. If you had handled the relationship with the Tang family well, things wouldn't have developed to this point and brought shame to the entire Ning family. All the consequences are caused by you. Don't blame Cici for everything. Ning Yahua hurriedly said. Dad, calm down. Let's not mention the past. As for the family party tomorrow night, Cici has some misunderstanding and prejudice against us. I guess she won't come even if I invite her, but I think she will give face to Qiu Tong and Wenba. Zhuang Lingyu had been very uncomfortable with the fact that the old man had been on Ningxi's side. Seeing that Ning Yaohua had been speaking up for Ningxi today, she was even more furious. She was very clear in her heart that Ning Yaohua wasn't worried that the old man's body wasn't feeling well. He clearly saw that the lass had climbed up the Zhuang family's high branch, so he was moved. The Zhuang family was the most selfish. For the sake of their family's reputation, they would even abandon their own flesh and blood. How could they really do anything to that little girl? If the Zhuang clan had really acknowledged that lass, she would have spread the news all over the world. She wouldn't have been so quiet. The next night, at the banquet in the private room, Ning Yaohua, Ning Yaobang, and Ning Qiutong were all present. Next to Ning Qiutong was Guo Wenba, who had just returned from abroad. The two juniors, Ning Xuelua and Su Yan, were also present. When the banquet was about to start, Ning Xuelua looked concerned and asked casually, Aren't you going to wait for Xiaoxi? Su Yan was stunned when he heard Ning Xuelua's words. He subconsciously glanced in the direction of the door. Ever since the Golden Palm Awards, he had not seen her even once except on television and in various reports. Ning Qiutong looked up and said, Xiaoxi doesn't have time. She won't come today. Chapter 1759. Ning Xuelua was surprised. My father also called her, but her agent answered the call and said that she was busy. I thought she would come if you called her. Zhuang Lingyu smiled. That girl is busy trying to get rich. She won't remember us. Ning Qiutong didn't care at all. She glanced at her coldly and said, If Xier is doing well as her aunt, I will naturally be happy for her. Now wherever I go, who doesn't praise my niece for being beautiful and capable? All day long, I don't know how many socialites and young ladies from aristocratic families come to me, asking me to get Xier's autograph, wanting to visit her at work. Hearing this, Ning Xuelua's face almost tensed up. Her nails dug into her palms. Zhuang Lingyu was so angry that her veins were about to pop. This Ning Qiutong always went against her and poked at her weak spot every time. She knew that Xuelua had quit the entertainment industry, but she still said these words to hurt her. All right, let's eat. It wasn't until the old man coughed softly and spoke that the smoke of gunpowder barely dissipated. Wenba, how long are you going to stay? Grandpa Ning asked. Guo Wenba put down his chopsticks and said gently, I won't stay too long. I'm here to meet a client and help Qiutong deal with some matters. Deal with some matters? Hearing this, Ning Yahua narrowed his eyes. Sure enough, Ning Qiutong said, "Isn't old Chen going to retire from the finance department? Someone has to take the vacant CFO position, so I asked Wenba to hire a senior financial manager from abroad." Before Ning Yahua could say anything, Zhuang Lingyu couldn't bear it anymore. "What do you mean by a high salary? I think he's one of your people from the very beginning. Yahua has already reserved the position for Xuelua. Xuelua will be able to take the position after a while. Don't worry too much." Ning Qiutong said slowly. "Worry too much? Sister-in-law, don't forget that although I don't have a position in the company, I'm the biggest shareholder of the Ning's group." Ning Xueluo did not get any shares. Even if Ning Yahua transferred all his shares to her, she would only get 15% of the shares. Ning Qiutong had 10% of the company's shares, plus the 10% transferred to her by Ning Shi, so she had 20% of the company's shares in total. She was indeed the biggest shareholder of the company. Zhuang Lingyu's face was full of anger. "You have no right to make such a decision on your own. How dare you place your own people in such an important position?" Ning Qiutong raised an eyebrow. "Oh, does that mean you already have one?" Zhuang Lingyu snorts. "Xue Luo is not an outsider." In other words, Ning Qiutong was just an outsider. Hearing this, Ning Qiutong burst out laughing. "Ha, sister-in-law, are you joking? If she's not an outsider, then who is?" "Ning Qiutong, don't go too far." Ning Yahua's face darkened. "Qiutong, you've gone too far. You have the most shares, but I'm the chairman now. You have no right to interfere with the company's personnel transfers." Ning Qiutong's face suddenly became fierce. "Ha, chairman, you're so arrogant. A chairman who doesn't have any shares? Let me tell you, if it weren't for the fact that Xiaoxi doesn't want to work in the company, I would have the right to put her in this position. You can try if you don't believe me." Chapter 1760. Since Xiaoxi had given her the shares, she had to live up to her trust and trust. How could she let these people mess around in the company? Ning Yahua was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Ning Yaobang, on the other hand, was quietly drinking and watching the show. He was having a great time. Su Yan didn't get a word in. He looked a little embarrassed. But he had come today because he had other plans, so he was naturally absent-minded. In the past, Su Yan would definitely stand up for her, but the man next to him didn't say anything. Ning Xuelua bit her lip and looked aggrieved, but he didn't even notice her grievance. She didn't know when it started, but his attention had gradually shifted away from her. She could guess what was on Su Yan's mind. He had been seduced by that bitch. Dong dong dong. The sound of a cane hitting the ground was heard. Ning Ziyuan was furious. "Enough, shut up. I'm not dead yet, and you're going to tear this family apart?" The room fell silent. Ning Ziyuan panted. After a while, he took a deep breath and said, "Xuelua doesn't have enough experience. It's not appropriate for her to take that position in such a short time, and it's hard to convince the public. Qiutong, no matter how good your manager is, he doesn't know the situation of our company." "So Dad, what do you mean?" Ning Yaobang asked as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. The old master glared at Ning Yaobang and then continued, "Qiutong, you can hire someone to join the company, but just like Xuelua, he has to start from the bottom and familiarize himself with the company. I'll talk to old Chen and ask him to delay his retirement. As for who will take the position, you can compete fairly. Everyone will see how well you perform, and then vote at the shareholders' meeting." Although both sides were not convinced by the old master's words, they knew that they couldn't do anything to each other. Ning Yahua and Ning Qiutong didn't say anything, tacitly agreeing to the old master's idea. The meal was finally over. On the way back, Zhuang Lingyu was still angry. What fair competition! Dad is obviously siding with Ning Qiutong. Not only does Ning Qiutong hold so many shares, but she also has Guo Wenba's support. How can our Xuelua compete with her? It's all that bitch's fault. She wanted to go against us and gave all her shares to Ning Qiutong. Otherwise, why would we be in such a passive situation? Ning Xuelua quickly comforted her. "Mom, don't be angry. Brother Yin will help me too. Don't you think so?" At that moment, Su Yan, who had been silent all night, finally nodded and said, "Of course." Only then did Zhuang Lingyu's complexion improve a little. She took their hands and crossed them together. You two have to be well. The most important thing is to have a child as soon as possible. That way, the old man's mind will naturally turn to you. Mom, why are you saying that? Ning Xuelua was embarrassed. Zhuang Lingyu said angrily, what I'm talking about is very important. Both of you listen carefully. Su Yan, won't your mother urge you? Su Yan coughed lightly and said, my mother is fine. She respects our opinions. Actually, when he hadn't married Xueluo, his mother had already started to urge them to have grandchildren. But after he married Xueluo, his mother seemed to have suddenly became indifferent. She didn't urge them anymore. Chapter 1761. Late at night, the study of the Platinum Palace was brightly lit. Lu Jingli looked at the documents in his hands and wished he could open his eyes with a toothpick. But a certain inhuman being was still working on those complicated documents, as if nothing had happened. He had been watching over him these days. Since he couldn't persuade him, he could only keep an eye on him to prevent anything from happening to him. Brother, I know you want to wait for sister-in-law to wake up and give her peace and prosperity. Then you'll say, look, this is the world I've conquered for you. The country is yours. That's so romantic. But you have to survive until the day sister-in-law wakes up, right? Lu Tingxiao looked up at Lu Jingli, who was lying on the sofa. Lu Jingli immediately subconsciously covered the back of his neck. What? You want to hit me again? Okay. I know. I'll shut up. I have to keep my life to keep an eye on you for Cici. Just then Lu Tingxiao's phone rang. The man picked up the phone as usual. President Lu, the media and fans have been stable recently, but a few days ago Ningxi's cousin called. I don't know why she was looking for Ningxi. Today Ning Yahua and Ningxi's aunt, Ning Qiutong, also called. It seems that Ningxi's uncle has returned to the country and is having a family dinner. I've tried to cancel it, and they didn't suspect anything. Lin Jiji called Lu Tingxiao as usual to report everything about Ningxi and then asked, should we keep it a secret from all these people? Lu Tingxiao said, the fewer people who know the better. Lin Jiji nodded. Okay, I got it. The incident with Xiao Tao was a warning. The fewer people who knew about Ningxi's situation, the better. As soon as Lu Tingxiao hung up the phone, a man rushed in. Tang Lang panted and bent over. Fuck. Xiao Yi was taken away. Damn it, he's already been sent to prison. And he was taken out. Is that guy even a human? What? He broke out of prison. That's awesome. Is it the same person who took Black Dragon away? Lu Jingli immediately perked up. Tang Lang let out a sigh of relief. I feel that it should be the same person's modus operandi. Xiao Yi's people seem to think that we were the ones who released the Black Dragon. In fact, we were the ones who kidnapped it. Now this fellow has actually appeared again. Lu Jingli was puzzled. Where did that person come from? Did Xiao Yi and the others not know? From the looks of it, aren't they in cahoots? Tang Lang scratched his head in annoyance. Actually, I'm not too sure about this. But I've been in the organization for so many years, and I've never heard of such a person. If there is, even if I don't know about it, how could that battle maniac Tang Yi not know about it? Lu Jingli nodded repeatedly with an expression that said, you're right. It's a pity that I didn't get to fight with that person twice. Otherwise, I would have been able to recognize him. After Tang Lang finished speaking, he looked at the man in front of the table with a cold expression. Boss, what should we do now? The man leaned against the wide chair, his dark eyes like a bottomless black hole. Wait. Huh? What do you mean? Tang Lang looked confused. Lu Jingli giggled as he walked over and placed his hand on Tang Lang's shoulder. With a tone as if he was presenting a treasure, he lowered his voice and said, my brother asked me to take advantage of the time when that guy was unconscious to put some little things in his body. Tang Lang raised his eyebrows in surprise. You put a tracking device on Xiao Yi? Chapter 1762. Can we find out where they are now? Tang Lang asked hurriedly. Lu Jingli explained proudly. Don't worry, they're not ordinary people. They might not have thought of this. If the tracker is discovered, Wouldn't all our efforts be in vain? That's why we haven't activated it yet. We'll wait for them to lower their guard before locating them. Also, this thing has recording and video functions. The moment it's activated, it can transmit all the information to us. If it's destroyed by an external force, it will automatically activate and transmit the information. The corner of Tang Lang's mouth twitched. These two were indeed that guy's brothers. They were both equally perverted. Under those circumstances, Qiaoyi was no longer a threat, but they still made preparations. Could it be that they had predicted that the person from before would appear again? Actually, Qiaoyi is no longer a threat. Even if he escaped, it would be useless. This time, Satan has completely severed ties with him, and has already taken in all of his men. As Tang Lang spoke, he glanced thoughtfully at the man in front of the table who had an unfathomable expression. Now that Qiaoyi had been dealt with, his next target, could it be that guy? At that time, wouldn't it be another terrifying battle? Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. The entire capital city was calm and peaceful. The battle that Tang Lang had expected did not happen. The miracle that everyone had been hoping for did not happen either. That reckless girl was still lying quietly in the heavily guarded, cold, and quiet nursing home. There were no signs of her waking up. To make matters worse, Ningxi's mother had been released, and she had won the Golden Deer Award and the Golden Wand Award for Best Actress. In addition to the Golden Palm Award, she had won the 3 most prestigious Best Actress trophies in the country, as well as various other awards of all sizes. Seeing that she had almost won all the awards in the country, Jiang Xingzhou revealed that Mother had already been selected for the Lorraine International Film Festival. At the same time, since the broadcast of 9 Firmaments, Ningxi's popularity was getting higher and higher with the promotion of the plot. The absolute bed scene between Ningxi and Ke Mingyu set the ratings record of the capital satellite TV for the past 10 years in one fell swoop. The online broadcast record was also broken again and again. The online game of the same name, and all kinds of derivative copyrights were everywhere. In the streets and alleys, the entire internet, in these 3 months, everyone, regardless of gender or age, was talking about this drama. Both the main and supporting roles in this drama were extremely popular, and Ningxi's super popularity and acting skills completely crushed Best Actress Meng Shi. She was nominated for Best Actress at this year's Golden Orchid Awards. There was no doubt that Ningxi's movies and TV shows were both successful this year. All the newspapers, magazines, and the internet were full of reports about Ningxi. Thunderbolt Special Agent Unit was still in the long post-production stage and had yet to be released, but Ningxi had already become extremely popular with just these 2 works. Her momentum was swift and fierce, and once it was out of control, there was no other female celebrity in the entire entertainment industry that could compare to her popularity. If it was said that Ningxi was always called Lung Manyun's successor in the past, then now people's evaluations of her were the student has surpassed the master. The new generation excels the old. The treasure of the film industry, the most talented actress in history, and the second Song Lin. Chapter 1763. Ningxi's popularity had already reached its peak, but at this moment, in Lin Jiji's office in Shengshi Entertainment's building, the atmosphere was gloomy. There were too many events that required Ningxi's personal attendance. Some could be declined, but movie premieres, promotions, and major awards couldn't be declined. Ningxi had already missed all the promotions for Mother, the Golden Orchid and Golden Deer Awards, and even the Golden Wand Awards yesterday. As for the crew of Mother, thanks to Jiang Xingzhou's tolerance and Song Lin's help, it was still acceptable. The Golden Orchid and Golden Deer trophies could be collected by a manager, but the Golden Wand Awards had a rule that the winner had to be there in person to collect the award, or else the trophy wouldn't be given. Although the title of Best Actress would be retained, missing such an important event would leave a bad impression on both the judges and fans. In these 3 months, even if she, as her manager, always thought of perfect reasons for Ningxi, under such circumstances, no matter how perfect the reasons were, they couldn't be excused if she didn't show up for 3 whole months. In the office, Lin Jiji's phone and landline never stopped ringing. Xiaotao was only dealing with the media now, and she personally handled everything else. Looking at the overwhelming entertainment headlines about Ningxi, the countless invitations from the organizers of the awards, and the scripts and advertisements thrown at her like snowflakes, Lin Jiji sank into a deep sense of helplessness. In the end, she still underestimated Ningxi this time. She definitely couldn't suppress it anymore, at this moment. There was an urgent knock on the door. Shengshi Entertainment's general manager, Yi Sudong, pushed open the door with a terrible expression, and threw a stack of newspapers on Lin Jiji's desk. Lin Jiji, what the hell are you doing? Is this all you're capable of? Where is she? Where is Ningxi? All the newspapers and magazines were full of headlines about Ningxi's absence on various occasions. The media and fans reviewed all Ningxi's itinerary during this period, and found out that Ningxi had disappeared for 3 whole months. Now all kinds of speculations were flying on the internet. I thought you would at least learn a lesson after the incident with Lung Manyun, but this time? It's like this again. You can't even manage your artists well. What kind of bullshit manager are you? Yi Sudong flew into a rage. It was no wonder that Yi Sudong was so excited. Now Ningxi was so popular that almost 90% of the company's profits were in Ningxi's hands. But at this time, Ningxi actually disappeared. Not only did she miss so many important occasions, but she also missed all kinds of important advertising cooperation. All these were money. Lu Jingli had already relinquished control of Golden Era to him. Now that he had been promoted from the vice president to the general manager, how could he allow such a huge mistake to happen before he could even secure his position? Facing Yi Sudong's anger, Lin Jiji pursed her lips and said, "Sorry." She understood Yi Sudong's anger, but she couldn't tell him the truth. At this moment, she could only say these 2 words. Yi Sudong was even angrier when he saw her like this. What's the use of apologizing? Hurry up and find him. Do you think those investors and important partners have the time to wait for you? Let me tell you, the company doesn't need an artist like her who disregards the company and the rules of the contract. Now sort out all the scripts and collaborations under Ningxi's name and give them to me. She would not do it. There are plenty of people who can do it. Chapter 1764. I see. Lin Jiji didn't say anything. Based on Ningxi's current situation, these contracts could only rot in her hands. Yi Sudong would definitely let other artists replace them in the principle of maximizing profits. Even if Lu Jingli came to say this in person, he would have no choice. If things went on like this, Yi Sudong might soon start to look for a new artist to replace Ningxi. Otherwise, all the resources in Ningxi's hands would be wasted. She could wait, but Yi Sudong couldn't. Lin Jiji, I don't care if you can contact her now. Let me tell you, 7 days. If she doesn't show up in 7 days, she doesn't have to come to the company anymore. Yi Sudong threw a tantrum and left. It was late at night when Lin Jiji sorted out all the cooperation materials and scripts. When she passed by Yi Sudong's office, she accidentally heard the ambiguous voices of a man and a woman. She frowned slightly. That woman's voice sounded like a newcomer who joined the company some time ago. It was probably because Ningxi's style had become popular recently that the company had recruited a lot of newcomers. That newcomer had the best appearance, and was chosen according to Ningxi's style. However, because Ningxi was too dazzling, this batch of newcomers did not make much of a splash. Now, with such a great opportunity in front of them, no wonder they couldn't wait. This was the way of the entertainment circle. Competition and killing never stopped. Lin Jiji just paused for a moment, and soon left as if nothing had happened. Early morning. It was quiet in the military sanatorium on the outskirts of the capital. Lu Tingxiao sat quietly in front of Ningxi's bed for a whole night. These 3 months were enough for him to do everything he could until he couldn't find anything else to numb himself. Time ticked by. Finally, it was 6 o'clock. It had been 3 months since Ningxi fell into a coma. In fact, Ningxi's previous situation couldn't be strictly defined as a vegetable. If she couldn't wake up within 3 months, these 3 months were the most likely time for a patient to wake up. After this time, it was almost impossible for her to wake up again. The girl lay quietly on the bed, seemingly asleep. Little Treasure lay obediently next to her, sleeping peacefully with her. It was as if everything was the same as before, as if they were at home, as if everything was fine in the outside world. However, the cruel reality was that the girl he loved the most might never speak again, never give him any response, and never wake up again. The man gently picked up the girl's hand, gently buried his head in the back of her hand, and murmured, "Xiaoxi, I'm sorry. I may not be as indestructible as you think. Only when you're not by my side do I realize that I'm nothing. Only then did I realize that all my weakness." Creak. The sound of the door being pushed open could be heard. Lu Jingli poked his head out from the doorway. "I knew you'd be here. Brother, you didn't sleep last night, did you? I bought breakfast, come over and have some." Lu Tingxiao put down the girl's finger and stood up. However, the moment he stood up, he fell backwards without any warning. "Brother." Lu Jingli was scared out of his wits and rushed in. Xiao Bao was also startled awake by the sound. He looked at the man lying on the ground with a face full of terror. Chapter 1765. Help! Help! Doctor! After the chaos, Lu Tingxiao was placed on the hospital bed next door. The Zhuang family was also alerted. Lu Jingli looked at the doctor who was examining Lu Tingxiao with a frown. "What's wrong with my brother? What's wrong with him?" The old expert put down his stethoscope and scolded with a gloomy face. "This is nonsense. How can he waste his body like this? You should ask him what's wrong with him. His stomach is already perforated to this extent. It's been at least 2 months, yet he still hasn't sought medical attention. His body is so deficient. If he stays like this for a few more months, he won't be much better off than the girl lying on the bed next door." Lu Jingli's face was pale, and he was about to cry. "Since little Cece fell into a coma, my brother has hardly slept. I've tried my best to keep an eye on him every day. I'm afraid something will happen to him. But I really can't persuade him. I know no one can persuade him. He can't control himself at all." Listening to Lu Jingli's words, the old expert and Zhuang Zongren behind him sighed. Although Zhuang Liaoyuan still kept a straight face, there was a trace of worry in his eyes. Especially when he saw Xiaobao staying by his father's bed with a worried look on his face. At the beginning, he was indeed biased against this father and son pair, and even couldn't understand his father's decision. However, during this period of time, he saw Xiaobao's devotion to Ningxi, and he saw Lu Tingxiao quickly become thin and haggard even though he didn't change at all, and even became like this now. The dissatisfaction in his heart dissipated a lot. Xiaoxi's love was not in vain. He was her uncle and her relative, but after all, he hadn't done anything for her, so he didn't have the right to say anything about her choice. Lu Jingli choked with sobs. "Actually, I've known for a long time. Although he looks fine on the surface, he could fall at any time if the wind blows. He couldn't hold on any longer. But he held on until now. On the day when Ningxi had been in a coma for 3 months, the last nerve that supported him completely collapsed. During this period, it was not only Ningxi's coma that weighed on him, but also his self-blame and deeply buried regret. All these things were gnawing at his spirit and marrow. Lu Jingli clenched his fists, stood up, and bowed deeply. "Please take care of my brother. I'll be back soon." He knew that this was a psychological problem that couldn't be solved by ordinary methods. He had to find a way. Otherwise, if this went on before little Cece woke up, his brother would have collapsed first. Soon after Lu Jingli left, Lu Tingxiao woke up, and the first thing he did was look at the time on his cell phone. Seeing Lu Tingxiao suddenly sit up, the old doctor next to him quickly said with a stern face, "Lie down properly." This old doctor was Dr. Zhao, who had helped him do the paternity test for Ningxi and Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Without even thinking about his physical condition, or asking why he was lying here, he said, "I've made an appointment with an expert team to give Xiaoxi another comprehensive examination today." Dr. Zhao said unhappily, "Then you should lie down too. Do you think they won't do the examination without you?" "Sorry." Lu Tingxiao didn't argue. Instead, he stopped the drip and walked out of the room. Chapter 1766. "You, I've never seen a patient as disobedient as you. Do you want to die?" Dr. Zhao stomped his feet anxiously behind him. Seeing that the patient had quickly disappeared, He had no choice but to follow him next door. Because today was a special day, the Zhuang family agreed to let Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui come over. They also heard the news that their son had fainted. Scared out of their wits, they kept asking about the situation while nervously waiting for the results of the expert's diagnosis of Xiaoxi. Tingxiao, are you okay? Jingli said you fainted. What's going on? How many times have I told you to take care of your body? You only know how to talk to Xiaobao. Why don't you know how to set an example for yourself? Don't you feel bad waiting for Xiaoxi to wake up? I'm fine. How can I be fine? Yan Rui kept wiping her tears and glanced at the ward. How is Xiaoxi? What did the expert say? Lu Chongshan also asked. Lu Tingxiao stood there quietly. Wait for the results. Dr. Zhao stood at the door, watching the child standing there with his back straight waiting for the results. He shook his head and sighed, a trace of pity flashing across his eyes. Zhuang Zongren, who was also nervous, frowned when he saw Dr. Zhao sigh. Old Zhao, why are you sighing? Is Xiaoxi in a bad condition? Dr. Zhao glanced at Zhuang Zongren and didn't hide it. It's not optimistic. Zhuang Zongren's face suddenly darkened. A moment later, a group of experts finished a detailed examination, held a small meeting, and finally walked out of the ward. No one dared to speak, holding their breath and waiting for the diagnosis results. The leading expert said solemnly, during this time the patient's condition has not changed. Our diagnosis is the same as last time. What? Until now the result was still the same. Xiaoxi didn't get better at all? Zhuang Zongren held Xiaobao carefully in his arms. He didn't want Xiaobao to be here today, but the child was as stubborn as his father. He couldn't persuade him to leave, so he could only ask hurriedly, is it possible for Xiaoxi to wake up? The leading expert looked awkward. He came in and said in a tactful tone, with all due respect, the possibility of him waking up within these 3 months is the highest. After 3 months, the possibility of him waking up is very small. The patient's bodily functions will also start to deteriorate step by step. After listening to the results of the expert's consultation, there was a dead silence in the air. Everyone's heart felt like it had fallen into an ice cellar. The expectations that they had been looking forward to all this time fell from the sky and shattered. Lu Tingxiao stood there without saying a word. Facing this result, there was no expression on his face. During this period of time, he had flipped through many medical books and materials, and could almost be considered half an expert. The results of the experts were just as he had expected. He already knew that. It was just that he still had to come and hear it in person. Not far away, Lu Jingli had just rushed back when he heard the words of the experts. Then he saw his brother's empty, cold, and lifeless face. It was as if all the vitality would be sucked out in the next second, leaving only an empty shell. Lu Jingli's heart skipped a beat. His fingers clenched a cold object. He took a deep breath and quickly walked over. He pulled the man who was standing there in a daze all the way to a tree not far away from the courtyard, and stuffed a recording pen into his hand. Brother, listen to this. Now, right now, right now. Chapter 1767. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao didn't respond, Lu Jingli was so anxious that he simply pressed the switch and turned on the recording pen. Ningxi. Hey, you're drinking without waiting for me. Jiangmai. Aren't you going to quit drinking? I'm the one drinking while I'm waiting for you. Ningxi. Well, pretend I didn't say anything. Continue drinking. Did you give me some juice? Jiangmai. Nonsense. There's no juice in the bar. It wasn't until Ningxi's familiar voice came from the recording pen that Lu Tingxiao's attention turned to the recording pen. Lu Jingli breathed a sigh of relief, wiped the sweat on his forehead, and pressed the fast-forward button a few times. Then, Ningxi's question came from the recording pen. Let me ask you, that day Lu Tingxiao really kissed me? Lu Jingli quickly explained, Brother, do you remember this recording pen? At that time, Jiang Mai had just returned to China, and the crew of the world had a dinner party to welcome him. When the party was over, you went to pick up little Cici. At that time, little Cici was drunk, and Jiang Mai seemed to be interested in little Cici. He directly questioned you about your attitude towards little Cici. And then you kiss little Cece in front of him. Later, Jiang Mai couldn't help but tell little Cece about it, and then little Cece asked Jiang Mai to meet her. At that time, I felt that there must be big gossip in their conversation, and I couldn't help but want to eavesdrop, but you stopped me. However, there were paparazzi eavesdropping in that private room in order to make it big news. Their director stopped this recording pen for my sake and sent it to me. At that time, you didn't want to use this method to find out about little Cece's privacy, so you didn't listen to it, but I secretly kept it. It's this recording pen. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao's eyes gradually focused, it seemed that he had recalled it. Lu Jingli didn't say anything more and quickly fast-forwarded to the key part. Ningxi. Okay, since you asked me, I'll ask you a question too. Ningxi. Let me ask you, if you walked into a room and saw the person you liked was drugged with aphrodisiac, wearing transparent pajamas, and lying on a kg-sized bed covered with red petals, what would you do? Ningxi. Do you know what Lu Tingxiao would do in such a situation? Ningxi. He didn't do anything. He comforted me not to be afraid and talked to me to distract me. From beginning to end, he did nothing to disturb me. He just quietly accompanied me through the most helpless and difficult night of my life. Ningxi. Which one do you think is Lu Tingxiao? Not a man? Or do you not like me? Jiang Mai. I'm sure he likes you. Ningxi. I wasn't sure before, and I didn't dare to be sure. But now, I'm sure that he likes me. Therefore there is a third possibility. Jiang Mai. What? Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao held his breath, just like Jiang Mai. Then Ningxi's soft sigh came from the recording pen. It's not because I'm stupid, but because his level is too high. I'm not surprised at all that I'm attracted to him, and I'm not unwilling either. The moment Ningxi said this, Lu Tingxiao's expression changed drastically. Countless complicated emotions surged. Then she heard Jiang Mai's slightly trembling voice. You have feelings for him. Ningxi. Although I don't want to admit it and I've been avoiding it for so long, this is the truth. Hearing this, the man held the recording pen in his hand and was stunned for a long time. Chapter 1768. Then came Jiang Mai's extremely agitated question. Ningxi, how much do you know about him? How much do you know about him? You only see the side of him that he pretends to be in front of you. Do you really think that Lu Tingxiao is as gentle and gentlemanly as he appears to be? Do you know that Jia Qingqing died in the wilderness? Do you know what happened to that fat pig, Zhu Xiangqing? Do you know that he sent a plane to induce rain just to ruin a kissing scene? Even the sudden accident in my family. It was all planned by him. Hearing Jiang Mai's question, Lu Tingxiao's face changed dramatically and suddenly became tense. But Jiang Mai, he has never done anything to hurt me. If I am afraid of him, stay away from him, and despise him because of that, it is not fair to him. You can say that I can't distinguish right from wrong, or that I don't know what's good for me. I only know that he is good to me, very good. No one has ever been so good to me like he does. Then Lu Tingxiao heard the girl's answer, which instantly pulled him back from the edge of the cliff. She said that no one had ever been so good to her like he did. The girl continued to speak. Ningxi. I know what I am like in my heart. Being moved doesn't mean that I have lost my mind. I know what I am doing and what I should do. Ningxi. Jiang Mai, to paraphrase what you said before, how much do you know about me? How much do you know about me? Now you only see the side of me that I let you see in front of you. Do you really think that I am completely like what I appear to be? The recording ended here. Lu Tingxiao's mind trembled violently as he stood stiffly under the lush tree with a blank expression. He finally understood everything from beginning to end. It turned out that she had refused him from the beginning to the end, because of the knot in her heart. The so-called person that she really liked was actually just a shield. Lu Jingli looked at the expression on his brother's face, and his eyes slightly teared up. Brother, did you hear that? There is no if. There is no one else. Little Cece liked you from the beginning. And only you. Lu Tingxiao closed his eyes and squeezed the recording pen hard. Countless memories came flooding in and crazily filled his mind. He recalled Ningxi's proud expression when she said, "The person I like?" He was mighty, domineering, talented, and well-versed in both the pen and the sword, gentle, romantic, resourceful, brave, mature and steady, with a spirit that could swallow mountains and rivers, unprecedented and unparalleled, as powerful as a thunderbolt, rarely seen in 1,000 years, masterful, capable of overshadowing the moon and putting flowers to shame, captivating fishes and alighting geese, capable of causing the downfall of nations and cities, shocking as a celestial being, treading on 7-colored auspicious clouds. If you knew who he was, you wouldn't think that I was exaggerating. He remembered that she had once said firmly, Lu Tingxiao, actually, I told you from the beginning that I already have someone I like, very much. I like it very much. Although I can't be with him due to certain reasons, he will always be in my heart for the rest of my life. No one can replace him. There is no extra space. No matter how good that person is, no matter how perfect he is, he can't. Do you understand? He remembered that one night not long after she rejected him, he was at the door of the private room and heard her singing inside. I miss you so much, I miss you so much, but I lie to myself. I miss you so much, so I keep it a secret. I miss you so much, so I hide it deep in my heart. He also remembered that she had once posted such a post on her WeChat moments. I could have tolerated the darkness if I had never seen the sun, but now, the sun has made my loneliness even more desolate. He remembered that she had once said that he was her sunshine. Chapter 1769. That person, the person he had always thought she loved, the person he thought was more suitable for her, from the beginning to the end, turned out to be himself. There were so many flaws, so many traces. Why didn't he find out until now? The man sat on a wooden chair, deeply buried his head and motionless. Lu Jingli didn't disturb him, but walked away and left him alone for a while. After a long time, the man stared blankly at the recording pen, then took out his cell phone and made a call in a hoarse voice. Hello, Miss Lin, please prepare a copy of Ningxi's autograph for me. I'll ask my assistant to pick it up later. Then he immediately made a second call. Go to my office now and get something for me. In the last drawer of my desk. There's... Lu Jingli saw the man under the tree make the call for a long time, and then continue to sit there quietly. In Ningxi's ward, the atmosphere was unprecedentedly solemn. At this time, Zhuang Kuer and Zhuang Rongguang also arrived. Zhuang Kuer was crying in front of Ningxi's bed and Zhuang Rongguang's face was also full of grief. Yan Rui couldn't bear to look at the girl in the hospital bed. It's all our Lu family's fault. But this child has been implicated. Master Xianjing said she had unparalleled luck. She used up all her luck, in exchange for Xiaobao's life. Lu Chongshan knew it was useless to say anything, so he could only stand there in silence and face it. Zhuang Zongren let out a long sigh. This girl didn't even know that Xiaobao was her own flesh and blood, but she did so much for this child. Her temperament, Zhuang Liaoyuan's face darkened. Now that things have become like this, it's useless to say anything more. No matter what happens to Xiaoxi, we will take care of her for the rest of her life. With that he glanced at Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan. You've seen Xiaoxi's condition. We've received your guilt these days, but it's not necessary. Let's call it a day. Xiaoxi's condition was obvious. She was basically unable to wake up for the rest of her life. What was the point of asking Lu Tingxiao to spend the rest of his life in a vegetative state? Time was short and they could do this because of guilt, but how could they withstand such a long time? Just when everyone was silent with a solemn expression on their faces, the sound of footsteps came from behind. Lu Tingxiao and Lu Jingli walked in one after the other, followed by Lin Jiji and Lu Tingxiao's assistant, Cheng Feng. They didn't know why, but when they looked at Lu Tingxiao now, they felt that he was a little different from before. Lu Tingxiao walked straight into the house, then looked at everyone in the house and said, Since everyone is here today, I hope everyone can witness something for me. Witness? What is it? Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what Lu Tingxiao was going to do. Even Lu Jingli didn't know what he was going to do, but he could vaguely guess. Cheng Feng. Lu Tingxiao called his assistant. Cheng Feng quickly stepped forward, took out a square black box from his bag, and carefully handed it over to Lu Tingxiao. Then everyone saw that Lu Tingxiao took the small black velvet box and walked to Ningxi's bed. Chapter 1770. The man's slender fingers opened the box. Inside was a pair of male and female rings. It was a very simple style, and the letters XX could be vaguely seen engraved on the inner layer of the ring. In the next second, under everyone's shocked gazes, Lu Tingxiao knelt down on one knee and put the male ring on his left ring finger. Then he gently put the other ring on Ningxi's ring finger. This is. Zhuang Liaoyuan and Zhuang Zhongren were both shocked. Zhuang Ke and Zhuang Rongguang stood there in a daze. Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan were also stunned speechless. After a moment of surprise, Lu Jingli's gaze softened, revealing an expression as if he had expected it. Lu Tingxiao lowered his head and kissed the girl's finger that was wearing the ring. His cold and hoarse voice sounded in the quiet ward in everyone's ears. I am willing to love her and be loyal to her. No matter if she is poor, sick, or in hardship, I will not leave her. I will follow her for life until death. Ningxi, my only wife in this life. The sunlight shone through the window lattice. The man who knelt on one knee was swearing his oath alone. His expression was so devout that it was as if he was facing all of his beliefs and his life. Zhuang Ke's eyes reddened and tears fell as she sobbed in a low voice. Everyone else was shocked and stunned at the beginning, but now their eyes were all red. A moment later, Cheng Feng walked over. Boss, this is done as well. What Cheng Feng handed over were two bright red booklets. Shockingly, they were marriage certificates. After Cheng Feng received Lu Tingxiao's call, he immediately prepared all the information in the shortest time possible. Then he found his connections in the Civil Affairs Bureau and settled everything. No matter how biased Zhuang Liaoyuan was against Lu Tingxiao, he was speechless at this moment. He really didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to do this. Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan were shocked at the beginning, but in the end, they had expected it. Forget it, they should have known this would happen. Yan Rui looked at the bright marriage certificate and her heart was filled with regret. If they hadn't been so stubborn back then and let these two children be together earlier, their family would have been harmonious and beautiful now. Things wouldn't have turned out this way. However, it was too late to say anything. When Xiaobao saw the thing in Cheng Feng's hand, he couldn't stay still. He immediately broke free from Zhuang Zhongren's embrace and quickly ran in front of Cheng Feng. He raised his small head and eagerly stared at him. Cheng Feng hurriedly squatted down and handed the two certificates to him. The little guy held it carefully in his hands and looked at it over and over again like it was a treasure. Lu Jingli chuckled as he walked over and held the little fellow in his arms. He glanced at Zhuang Rongguang on purpose and said, Xiaobao, are you happy? In the future, if anyone says that little Cici is not your mother, you will hang this thing around your neck every day. One in front and one in front. Let them have a good look. Little Bao nodded forcefully when he heard this, and then he held the two certificates tightly in his arms. Outside the house, Lin Jiji, Lu Jingli, and Lu Tingxiao were chatting under a pergola not far away. Lin Jiji subconsciously glanced at the wedding ring on Lu Tingxiao's finger. She was in a daze and her heart was filled with emotions. He didn't expect to witness such a scene with his own eyes today. He didn't expect that the two of them would actually get married under such circumstances. Agent Lin, it's been hard on you. I'm afraid. The sky is about to be turned upside down on your side, right? Little Cici is really amazing. Lu Jingli smiled bitterly. Chapter 1771. Lin Jiji sighed softly. Yes, Xiaoxi is really a born actress. It was no wonder that the entire entertainment industry was so shocked that she had reached such a high level in such a short time. Lin Jiji hesitated for a moment and looked at Lu Tingxiao. President Lu, the current situation can't be suppressed anymore. Should we follow our previous plan? Announced Ningxi's condition? After Lin Jiji finished speaking, there was a sudden silence. After some time, Lu Jingli frowned and spoke first. I suggest not. Brother, you don't understand the situation in the entertainment industry, so you think that Cici should tell the fans the truth. But in fact, it's fine if they don't know Cici's condition now. Once they know, she will be in a vegetative state. How did she get such a serious injury? Which hospital is Cici in now? The media and paparazzi will dig like a swarm of locusts. They might even dig out the sanatorium and surround it all day long. Once the Zhuang family is involved, things will get even more complicated. All kinds of scary rumors will spread all over the place. Lin Jiji looked solemn and said, "Second young master is right. This is exactly what I'm worried about, so I came here today to discuss it with you." Lu Jingli thought about his words and then looked at Lu Tingxiao. "Brother, let's leave it be. We won't make any response and let time solve this matter naturally. There are artists who are high up in the entertainment industry who suddenly disappear. It will indeed attract a lot of attention in a short period of time, but the public's attention is also limited. After a long time, the attention of the public will naturally be diverted by other things." Lin Jiji nodded. Yes, if they can't find the reason after a long time, most people will think that Ningxi has retired. No matter what personal reason they guess, the consequences won't be too serious. After a moment, Lu Tingxiao finally spoke and agreed to their suggestion. "Do as you say." Lin Jiji immediately nodded. Okay. The three of them discussed the specific details for a while. Lu Jingli seemed to have something on his mind. When the discussion was almost done, he hesitated and looked at Lu Tingxiao. "Brother, actually, there is another way." Lu Tingxiao and Lin Jiji looked at Lu Jingli at the same time. Lu Jingli reminded them, "Have you forgotten about Su Yimo in prison? Her face can almost be mistaken for the real one. If we hadn't caught her last time, everyone would have been deceived by her. If we use her to replace Ningxi for a period of time, as long as we arrange it properly, there will be no problem." Lin Jiji didn't say anything. She just frowned slightly. There was nothing wrong with Lu Jingli's suggestion, but Lu Jingli and Lin Jiji looked at the silent Lu Tingxiao, waiting for his decision. Lu Tingxiao lowered his eyes and gently rubbed the ring on his finger. After a long time, he only said one sentence. "She is irreplaceable." The moment the man's voice fell, Lin Jiji's heart was violently hit by his words. Lu Jingli chuckled and shrugged. Okay, I knew you would say that. That's why I didn't mention it to you before." Lu Jingli said solemnly, "You're right. She is irreplaceable." Chapter 1772. Winter passed and spring came. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Early in the morning, the heavily guarded sanatorium in the suburbs of the capital was as cold and quiet as ever. Under an old sycamore tree, a chessboard was placed on a stone table, and two people were sitting at the table. The man opposite Zhuang Zongren held a black chess piece in his hand, and the ring on his ring finger was faintly glowing. The man was dressed in a black suit that never changed throughout the year. The buttons on his shirt were meticulously buttoned up to his collar. The cold aura that used to surround him seemed to have transformed into a longer, thicker, and more reserved aura after a long period of waiting. So fast, it's been a year. Zhuang Zongren looked at the clouds in the sky and sighed deeply. The man didn't speak, but his fingers holding the chess piece paused for a moment. After a long time, Zhuang Zongren put down the chess piece in his hand and looked at the man opposite him and asked, "Tell me, what do you want this time?" The man put down the chess piece and said, "I want to take Xiaoxi away." Zhuang Zongren frowned when he heard this. After a long silence, he finally said, "Forget it, let's go. I'm afraid Xiaoxi is bored staying in this cold and quiet place." A year was enough for everything to settle down. The media and the public were shocked and crazy at the beginning, but now no one paid attention to her and even her name was not mentioned anymore. Because she was forgotten, she would no longer be disturbed by the world. Zhuang Zongren looked at the junior opposite him for a long time. During this year, this child did not stop accompanying Xiaoxi, did not stop thinking of ways to wake her up, and did not give up waiting for a day. Even if it was just a hopeless thought, it was just a hopeless thought. Zhuang Zongren opened his mouth and seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he only sighed. On the border of the capital, a small untouched town. An exquisite garden building was located in the eastern corner of the town. The small garden was backed by mountains and next to it was a beautiful lake, which looked like a gem in the sun. From time to time, deer and hares jumped out of the forest and walked and drank nearby. Because there were so many deer in the town, it was called Deer Town. It was as beautiful as a fairy tale world. Lu Jingli led Lu Tingxiao to look around. "Brother, you have a good memory. You still remember I have a house here. I almost forgot it if you didn't remind me. However, the people in this small town were quite simple, and there were no tourists. It was quiet in the midst of noise. It's just an hour's drive from the city. You can't find another place like this in the whole capital. It's really suitable for recuperation. Fortunately, the house has always been maintained and cleaned by servants, and the place is big enough to accommodate the medical team and nurses. If there is no problem, you can bring sister-in-law here. Lu Jingli loved to play. Back then, he wandered around and collected quite a number of properties. After looking around, Lu Tingxiao nodded. Sure. All right, here are the keys for you. Lu Jingli threw a bunch of keys at him. Of Xiaoxi, of Ziaf Lu of Xiaoxi and he of a he of Lu Jingli wanted to comfort her, but he didn't know what to say. He had already heard too many comforting words. Chapter 1773. After that, Lu Tingxiao brought Ningxi to Deer Town from the nursing home. Every inch of land in the imperial capital was worth its weight in gold. This small town was supposed to be rebuilt like other places, but the residents of the small town gathered together to protest. In addition, there was an internationally renowned geologist among the residents. After much effort, the small town was preserved as a cultural heritage and was not open to the public to protect its geology. In the evening, the afterglow of the setting sun illuminated the entire garden. The melodious chirping of birds could be heard, and the dew on the rose petals reflected a rainbow of colors. Mr. Lu, why are you so early today? The caregiver saw him from afar and quickly came out of the house to welcome him. She took the coat from the man's hands. How is Madam today? The man asked as usual. Madam is fine today, the caregiver answered quickly. The man nodded and then walked upstairs. As usual, the nurse quickly fetched the hot water and brought it up, then left the room. Although she was a professional caregiver hired by the Lu family with a high salary, she actually had very little work. This man learned all the skills of a caregiver, and did all the things related to Madam's care personally. He did it even better than a professional like her. For an entire year, no matter what happened, he never stopped. She had been a caregiver for so many years and had seen too much of the ups and downs of the human world. As the saying went, there was no filial child in the sick bed. This theory applied to couples as well. Most people might be sad for a few days in the beginning and take care of their patients personally, but as time passed, the caregiver was the only one left to accompany these patients. This was the first time she saw a man do this to his wife. In the room, Lu Tingxiao casually rolled up his sleeves, then soaked a towel in hot water and wrung it dry. Then he began to wipe the girl's body on the bed. Back then, Ningxi's external injuries were all treated by the mysterious long-haired man. The man's suturing skills were even praised by the best suturing doctor in the military hospital. After a year of recovery and supplemented with scar removal medication, Ningxi's body had almost no signs of injury. On the contrary, because of staying indoors for a long time and the meticulous care, the girl's skin was even fairer and more tender. She lay quietly on the bed as though she would wake up in the next second. Lu Tingxiao wiped down the girl's body and applied all kinds of skincare products. Then he carefully combed her jet black long hair and skillfully massaged her body. After everything was done, the man sat on the edge of the bed and gently planted a kiss on the girl's forehead. Every day, he repeated the same process and the same actions. At this moment, a series of footsteps came from outside the door, interrupting the man's days. Then he saw Xiaobao holding a large bouquet of freshly picked flowers, quickly running toward the room. But because he was in such a rush, he did not pay attention when he crossed the door sill. The boy tripped and fell to the ground, spilling the wildflowers. Of the flowers of the house, Lu Tingxiao hurriedly got up and strode over to help Xiaobao up. He frowned as he looked at the swollen area on Xiaobao's knee. Don't move, I'll get the medicine. Lu Tingxiao immediately turned to look for the medicine box with a serious face. Ting, Xiao was Xiao who of behind of Lu of Xiao who was sitting on the ground of was in of Lu Tingxiao was wiping the medicine for him. The little boy just stared at his knee in a daze. He did not say a word and did not move his eyes from beginning to end. What's the matter? Lu Tingxiao asked with a frown. The little boy touched his knees and raised his head. He looked at the man with his pitch-black eyes and answered, "Mommy. Mommy will blow on Xiaobao." Lu Tingxiao's face stiffened. The fragile shell around his body seemed to have been hit hard, and was full of cracks. After a long time, the man calmed down and looked at his son, bent over and clumsily blew on the injured part of his son's knee. "Does it still hurt?" Xiaobao rubbed his eyes and shook his head. "I'm not a 5-year-old child anymore. Mom, Xiaobao is already 6 years old. And in a few months, Xiaobao will be 7 years old. Mom, when I am 7 years old, can you wake up? Mom, I know I am not a child anymore. But Mom, I miss you so much." Chapter 1774. Not long after dinner, Lu Tingxiao's phone suddenly rang. "Hello." Lu Tingxiao picked up the phone. "Hello. Brother. Something's wrong. Dad. Dad has fainted at home. He's been sent to the hospital. The doctor said he might not make it this time." Lu Jingli's voice came from the other end of the phone. It was obvious that he was panicking. The man's expression instantly darkened. "I'll be there right away." "Wait. Brother, bring Xiaobao with you." "What if Dad?" Lu Jingli couldn't bring himself to say that what if. The man paused. "Got it." At night, at the Imperial City Hospital, Lu Chongshan had just been rescued and was lying in the ICU. "Doctor? How is my husband?" The attending doctor's face was solemn. "Old Master Lu hasn't been in good health recently. It's especially dangerous this time. I'm afraid he won't make it." Yan Rui's body trembled. She could no longer stand. She fell into Lu Jingli's arms and sobbed. "Chongshan, Mom, don't cry. Dad is still fine, isn't he? Didn't he make it through so many times? Didn't he make it through the danger 6 years ago? Dad has been through so much. He will definitely make it through this time." Lu Jingli comforted her firmly. The doctor hurriedly comforted him. "We will do our best." Xiaobao stared at the old man in the ICU through the glass window. She gently held her grandmother's hand and held it tightly. Yan Rui squatted down and hugged Xiaobao as if she was hugging the last piece of driftwood. Lu Tingxiao, who had been silent all this while, glanced at the doctor and then called him away in a low voice. "I want to hear the truth." Lu Tingxiao went straight to the point. The doctor replied with a bitter smile. "Actually, the most important thing is the patient's will to live. You've seen old master's condition for the past year. He has a knot in his heart, and if he doesn't get rid of it, it's only a matter of time before he ends up like this. His illness is greatly affected by his mood." Actually, they had already expected this. Ever since the clan banquet, Lu Chongshan had suffered a series of setbacks. In the past year, Lu Chongshan's body had been weakening bit by bit. "We will definitely do our best here. As his family, there is not much you can do now. Try to comfort him and make him relax. Maybe he will get better." Although the doctor said so, he didn't have much hope. After all, it had been a year. If there was any depression that could be solved, it would have been solved long ago. How could it get better overnight? "Got it. Thank you." Yan Rui was tired of crying. She sat on the bench in a daze and murmured, "Your father. Although he doesn't say it, he knows. Everything is his fault. Xiaoxi, you and Xiaobao. Xiaoxi has to lie in bed for the rest of her life. Your and Xiaobao's lives are ruined. Our whole family is ruined. We can't have a family anymore." Lu Jingli and Lu Tingxiao stood there in silence, neither of them saying a word. In the quiet corridor, only the sound of Yan Rui's sorrowful sobs could be heard. A haze hung over everyone's heads. Since then, Lu Chongshan had been staying in the hospital. Only when Xiaobao was around did Lu Chongshan's condition improve, and he could barely eat a few mouthfuls of food. During this time, Xiaobao had been accompanying him in the hospital. When the news of Lu Chongshan's critical illness leaked out, everyone in the family rushed to the capital from all over the country to inquire about the situation. For a while, the whole family and the group were in a state of panic again. Chapter 1775. Darkness, boundless. It was as if there was no end to the darkness. She did not know how long she had walked, nor did she know how far she had walked. She only knew that there seemed to be no end to this road. So tired, just like this. Just lie down here like this. Her consciousness was gradually stripped away and swallowed by the darkness. However, every time she was about to be swallowed by the swamp-like darkness, there was always a faint light in front of her. It was weak but persistent, and there seemed to be a gentle and beautiful voice in her ears. It never stopped, and kept injecting energy into her body. She got up again and continued to walk, and walk. She was too tired. She did not know anything and could not think about anything. But she always remembered one thing. On the other side of the faint light, there was something very important, waiting for her. She did not know how long and how many times she repeated this. Finally, the light became brighter and brighter, as if it was getting closer and closer to her. She used the last of her strength and slammed into the direction of the light. Boom! A blinding white light engulfed her, and the whole world turned from extreme darkness to extreme whiteness. In the room filled with the fragrance of flowers, on the ancient and exquisite carved wooden bed, a girl in a white nightdress, her eyes, which had not reacted for a long time, kept trembling under her eyelids. After a long time, that pair of eyes finally opened bit by bit, and her eyelashes stretched out like butterfly wings. The first ray of morning sun fell into that pair of clear eyes, and it was unbelievably beautiful. Her eyes were filled with the dazzling white light. After a long time, her vision finally recovered, and she could see everything in front of her clearly. Above her head was a lace curtain and a retro-patterned ceiling. It was a fresh and elegant room, and there was a bunch of beautiful wildflowers in an enamel vase on the table. The wind chime at the door made a tinkling sound with the breeze. Outside the window, the gemstone-like lake reflected the sky and the morning sun. It was a fairy tale-like place. Did she go from a nightmare to a beautiful dream? Ningxi's gaze turned and she looked around. Then she used her arm to support her body and slowly sat up. Her originally agile body had become extremely stiff for some reason. Even the movement of getting up was extremely difficult for her. The breathing mask on his face and the wiring of the various instruments on his body made her unhappy. Ningxi obeyed and took off all those things one by one. It took her half a day to get used to this stiff body. She slowly got off the bed and walked out of the room in a daze. Ningxi felt as if she was stepping on clouds, floating in the air. Unknowingly, she had walked down the stairs, past the garden, and wandered aimlessly into the distance. If this was still a dream, she liked this dream. It had been too long. She had seen enough darkness. In this dream, she could still see, hear, walk, and move. It was a good dream. She kept walking, until she walked to a small shop full of books, magazines, and newspapers. In the shop, an uncle was sitting inside watching TV. The TV seemed to be broadcasting entertainment news, and the female host's regretful voice could be heard. "Sigh, the newcomers are not as good as the previous one. It seems that Han Zixuan's departure has dealt a heavy blow to Shengshi Entertainment. The former leader of the entertainment industry is rapidly declining, and I'm afraid that it will soon disappear from the stage of history." Chapter 1776. Sigh, the newcomers are not as good as before. It seems that Han Zixuan's departure has dealt a heavy blow to Shengshi Entertainment. The former leader of the entertainment industry is rapidly declining, and will soon leave the stage of history. Ningxi's consciousness floating in the air returned to reality bit by bit with this piece of entertainment news. She looked down at herself blankly, then looked around at the town around her. Was she dreaming? But where was this? Why was she here when she woke up? Where was Lu Tingxiao? Where was Xiaobao? Hadn't Xiaobao been kidnapped by Qiaoyi? She had taken Xiaobao with her and kept running, until there was a loud bang and she suddenly lost consciousness. Had she and Xiaobao been saved? But why did it feel so surreal? She couldn't understand the entertainment news on TV at all. Who was Han Zixuan? Shengshi Entertainment was declining and leaving the stage of history? She looked up at the TV again, but the entertainment news had already ended. The boss had changed the channel, and was watching a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law drama with great interest. Ningxi's gaze fell on the pile of newspapers on the stall and she said softly, "Boss." Her throat was as hoarse and dry as sandpaper. Had her vocal cords been injured as well? "Boss." Ningxi tried again, and this time she spoke more smoothly. It didn't feel like she was injured, but more like she hadn't spoken for a long time and couldn't get used to suddenly speaking. Coming. What do you want to buy? The boss reluctantly moved his gaze away from the TV and looked at the girl in front of the stall. The next second, the boss was dumbfounded. He didn't even notice that the teacup in his hand had tipped over and spilled out. He stared at Ningxi as if he was in a dream. The girl did not put on any makeup, nor did she wear any extra accessories. She was dressed in a loose white dress that was as long as her waist. The hem and sleeves of her dress were dotted with small flowers. Large patches of begonias were blooming behind the girl, but they could not take away the girl's brilliance. Too beautiful, she was like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. Boss? Ningxi called out a few times before the boss finally came to his senses. What do you need? I'm sorry, I didn't bring any money. May I have a look at these newspapers? Yes, of course. Look, take a good look. Thank you. Ningxi picked up the newspaper on the top and turned to the entertainment section. The headline of the front page was a large photo of a woman in a bright red traditional dress, sitting cross-legged on the endless yellow sand. Beside her hand was a jar of high-quality Nuerhong. She had bright red lips and slanted eyebrows. She was beautiful, passionate, and arrogant. The headline was, Guo Qixing personally directs the World TV series version. Han Zixuan confirmed to play the role of Meng Chang'e. Han Zixuan. This name again, Guo Qixing was going to remake the world into a TV series? How could this be? She had never heard of this news. Ningxi quickly flipped through the other newspapers and found that Han Zixuan's name appeared the most frequently. All the newspapers and magazines were full of news about her. She even saw the photos of her and Jiang Mai in the scandal. In the photo, the two were kissing in the dim bar. Although the picture was not clear, it was clear that the man in the photo was Jiang Mai. What was going on when he woke up? The whole world had changed. Chapter 1777. From newspapers and magazines, countless pieces of information poured into her mind. Ningxi felt her brain was in a mess. Until she inadvertently saw a headline. It was still news about Guo Qixing's remake of The World. But this time the headline was, After nearly 2 years, Guo Qixing is about to remake the TV version of The World. Ningxi's eyes fell on the words. After nearly 2 years. It's been almost 2 years? How could it be? It had been less than a year since she finished filming The World. Was it a mistake by the editor? At this moment, she finally noticed the dates on the newspapers. 201X. The editor might have made a mistake, but it couldn't be that all the newspapers were wrong, right? Ningxi's voice trembled slightly. Boss? Miss, do you need anything else? The boss's eyes had never left the girl in front of him. At this moment, when he heard her calling him, he immediately asked politely, Excuse me, what year is it now? When the boss heard this, the look of amazement on his face suddenly turned into astonishment. He thought to himself, Is such a beautiful girl a fool? Miss, are you okay? This year is 201X. Miss, I didn't see you in the town before. You're not from here. Ningxi couldn't hear what the boss said after that. She stood there in a daze and couldn't believe it. She had actually slept for more than a year? No wonder. No wonder everything changed when she woke up. There were countless unfamiliar new faces in the entertainment news. The entertainment industry was full of ups and downs, and people changed very quickly. Even in 10 days or half a month, there would be countless new people, not to mention a year. Just as Ningxi was talking to the boss, 2 high school girls behind her were looking in her direction with astonishment. One of them tugged at her companion. Oh my God! Look at that woman over there. Why does she look like Ningxi? Ningxi? Who? Her companion was puzzled. It's Ningxi, an artist I liked a lot. The female student explained excitedly. Her companion recalled for a long time and finally seemed to remember. Oh, you seemed to be very obsessed with a female star when you were in the 2nd year of high school. You must be mistaken. Didn't you say she retired? But it's really similar. That's not right. This temperament, it seems different somehow. It's a little unreal. Don't think too much. You must have seen it wrong. All right. Thank you. Ningxi thanked the boss and walked towards the garden building that she had just walked out of. It seemed like he could only go back and find someone to ask in detail. At the same time, at the door of the room on the second floor of the garden house, Lu Jingli was like an angry lion. He was about to go crazy. Gone. What do you mean by gone? How could a person just disappear into thin air? The caretaker was scared out of her wits. She replied with a trembling body, "Second young master. I really don't know. Miss Annie's ointment has to be applied every 3 hours. I was just about to change Madam's dressing as usual. But she disappeared." Chapter 1778. The person lying on the bed was in a vegetative state and could not walk or jump. How could this person disappear into thin air? She really did not understand the situation at all. A man in black rushed over after hearing the news and said, "Second young master, I have contacted everyone just now. There is nothing unusual on our side, and I have checked and there is no trace of anyone else here." Lu Jingli looked at the empty bed and the equipment that had obviously been pulled off and turned off. He no longer wanted to listen to what they had to say. He held his head in despair and kept repeating, "It's over, it's over." Little Cici was his brother's life now. If anything went wrong, his brother, Xiaobao, and even the entire Lu family would definitely not be able to withstand such a blow. The previous sanatorium in the capital military region was heavily guarded, but it was precisely because it was too heavily guarded that there was not a trace of human activity. Therefore, they considered changing little Cici's environment to a more intimate one. There were not as many complicated guards in the house as there used to be. However, more than a year had passed and Ningxi's name had almost disappeared from the entire entertainment industry. It was impossible for anyone to track her. As for other possibilities, the people in this small town were very simple. In addition, they had secretly set up people to keep an eye on the entire town. If there were any abnormal or suspicious people entering or leaving, there would definitely be a response. So who on earth would take little Cici away? What kind of person could take a living person away without anyone noticing? Could it be the mysterious man from last time? Countless possibilities were densely entangled in his mind. Lu Jingli rubbed his hair into a ball. Gone. 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 How could it be gone? How could there be no trace at all? She couldn't possibly get out of bed and run out on her own, could she? If she was taken away, she must still be in this small town now. Find her. Hurry up and find her. Ask everyone to go out and look for her. No matter what method you use, you must find her and bring her back before my brother knows the news. Hurry up. Lu Jingli roared hysterically. His voice echoed over the small building. Not far away, a flock of birds flew out of the forest in shock. At this moment, a lazy, hoarse voice came from behind him. Look for what? Me. In an instant, the air froze in silence. Lu Jingli's back seemed to have been petrified. His entire body had turned into a rock. After an unknown amount of time, he slowly turned around with creaking sounds. Then he saw the black-haired girl in the white dress, with the glimmer of dawn in her eyes. She was holding back a smile as she quietly stood by the door and looked at him. Outside the window, a light breeze mixed with the fragrance of flowers blew past. The ends of the girl's hair at her waist and the hem of her dress swayed gently. Looking at the girl who suddenly appeared behind them, the eyes of the caretaker and the man in black almost fell out of their sockets. Lu Jingli stared blankly at the person in front of him and opened his mouth. His entire body seemed to have been invaded by a virus. His brain had completely lost control, and he couldn't make any response at all. Ningxi looked at the stiffened man in front of her and smiled gently. Second young master, long time no see. Lu Jingli's widened eyes were filled with moisture, and tears instantly rolled down his cheeks. Little Cici. Chapter 1779. Lu Jingli's brain was about to explode. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is not real. I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming. Lu Jingli said as he reached out to Ningxi with a trembling hand. But he quickly took it back. No, my brother will beat me. I'd better pinch myself. After saying that, he pinched his thigh as hard as he could. Ouch! With a cry of pain, Lu Jingli burst into tears. He cried like an idiot. Sister-in-law. You're awake. You're awake. You're awake. I'm not dreaming. Oh my God. I'm going crazy. Lu Jingli paced around the room excitedly. After turning around, he suddenly braked and rushed to Ningxi. He carefully poked her body with his finger. It's really not an illusion, ouch. Then he ran around the room crazily. When Lu Jingli's brain finally returned to normal, it was a long time later. Only Lu Jingli and Ningxi were left in the room. Ningxi looked helpless. Alright, dumbass, stop wandering around. I'm dazzled. Come and help me, my leg is a bit numb. Hearing this, Lu Jingli hurriedly ran over and carefully helped Ningxi to the sofa as if she was the Empress Dowager. Sit down, I have something to ask you. Oh. Lu Jingli sat down obediently. How long have I been in a coma? Ningxi asked the question she was most concerned about. 1 year and 1 month. Lu Jingli answered at once. Ningxi moved her arms and legs blankly. I've been in a coma for so long. No wonder I don't feel like my body is mine. I'm like a mummy. It's hard for me to walk and even talk. Lu Jingli stared at her in exasperation. I beg of you. You've been in a coma for a year, not a day, not a week, not a month. It's hard for me to get up after lying in a coma for a year. Who runs all over the place like you? Don't you know you almost scared me to death? Ningxi blinked. Well, I just walked around downstairs. I just woke up and was a bit dizzy. I thought I was in a dream. I walked out in a daze. You actually went downstairs. You actually spun it around. Lu Jingli looked at the woman in front of him speechlessly. Then, he was almost blinded by the girl in front of him. If Ningxi was a sleeping beauty when she was lying down, then Ningxi after waking up was like an enchantress whose seal had been lifted. Compared to before, she was even more beautiful that he couldn't find any adjectives to describe. Isn't little Annie's medicine too godly? Even after lying on the bed for so long, his skin was still tender. Although his body was stiff, it was many times better than an ordinary person's. The most important thing was her temperament. It was as if her bones and marrow had been cleansed, and her entire person had shed a layer of mortal skin. By the way, who is Han Zixuan? Ningxi finally caught a person, and directly asked the question she had been wondering about before. She desperately wanted to figure out the situation to make sure that she was really awake and living in reality. Lu Jingli was a little surprised. How do you know the name Han Zixuan? I just passed by a small shop nearby and saw it in the newspaper, Ningxi answered. Lu Jingli glanced at her, and seemed a little embarrassed to speak. After considering his words, he replied, Han Zixuan can be said to be the most popular female artist in the entertainment industry right now. Chapter 1780. A year ago, when you were in a coma, Lin Jiji kept it a secret for you for the first 3 months, hoping that she could keep it a secret until the day you woke up. But she failed in the end. 9 Firmaments and Mother were broadcast and released one after the other. You're really too popular. You've received all kinds of awards and endorsements. You're the most popular female artist in the entire entertainment industry. Lu Jingli was talking excitedly, but he quickly fell silent and looked at her worriedly, fearing that she couldn't accept the sudden change. I'm so amazing. Ningxi held her chin and listened with great interest. She urged him, go on. Then what? What does it have to do with Han Zixuan? Lu Jingli saw that her expression didn't change, so he continued. It was because you were too popular and had too much attention on you that we couldn't keep your disappearance under wraps. After some discussion, we decided not to respond to the public and let you retire naturally. Ningxi nodded. At that time, it was indeed the best way to deal with it coldly, because as long as she responded, no matter what kind of information she responded to, she would be besieged by the media, which would lead to all kinds of suspicions and even deliberate distortions and misunderstandings. Han Zixuan came out after you retired. She was a newcomer in Shengshi Entertainment. You were so popular at that time, so Shengshi Entertainment wanted to create more actresses like you, so they recruited many good-looking newcomers. But because of you, none of them stood out. When you suddenly disappeared, all the resources and collaborations with you were put on hold. Shengshi Entertainment couldn't sit still and looked for other actresses to take over those resources. I had returned to the company to help my brother, and Yi Sudong was in charge of Shengshi Entertainment. The newcomer that Yi Sudong promoted to replace you was Han Zixuan. Almost all your resources were taken over by her. Under such circumstances, even a blockhead can become famous. No wonder. Then why did she jump ship? Yi Sudong was so supportive of her. Why did she jump ship? Ningxi was puzzled. Lu Jingli sneered and replied, "Haha, sister-in-law, not everyone is like you, willing to go through fire and water to repay a debt of gratitude. There are many ungrateful people in the entertainment industry. Not to mention that Yi Sudong and Han Zixuan only had unspoken rules and a money deal. Because Han Zixuan has all the resources that originally belonged to you. And she's following your path. As long as she stays in Shengshi Entertainment, she has to live under your halo. Naturally, she can't wait to leave. Not only did she leave on her own, she even poached a large number of Golden Era's artists with her manager. All of them were transferred to Starlight, Golden Era's archenemy. All of the resources Yi Sudong invested in her were taken away as well." Lu Jingli paused, then spread out his hands and continued. "In short, Shengshi Entertainment is no longer what it used to be. It is completely suppressed by Starlight. After the incident, I talked to Yi Sudong once and asked him to distribute the more urgent resources evenly according to the performance of the artists in the company, and to delay as much as possible, especially the good scripts. But he promised me, and then he threw all the resources to that woman. When I asked him about it, he even said that she was appointed by the investor. Do you think I don't know what he's doing behind my back? Now that things have come to this, that guy still has the cheek to come to the company for help. How the fuck am I supposed to save him?" Chapter 1781. That idiot. He spent so much effort to make a fake, but the whole company was ruined. The more Lu Jingli spoke, the angrier he became. Ningxi was quite calm. She didn't look surprised as she said, "It's the law of the jungle. Profit comes first. That's how the entertainment industry works. Even if 90% of the artists in the company worked together, they wouldn't be able to make as much profit as a superstar. No wonder Yi Sudong wanted to copy her." Hearing this, Ningxi's heart, which was hanging in the air, finally calmed down. The long darkness finally ended. She finally woke up. "Where's your brother? And Xiaobao? How are they?" Ningxi's voice trembled as she asked. Lu Jingli didn't want her to worry, so he gave a brief account of what had happened. Xiaobao was frightened when she first woke up, but she recovered later. She knew you needed her, so she stayed by your side to take care of you. She read to you and sang to you every day. She drew a portrait of you every day, even though you looked the same every day. My dad has been sick these days, so he's been coming a little less. As for my brother, what else can he do when you look like this? His spirit has collapsed, and he's waiting for you to wake up." At this point, Lu Jingli suddenly shouted, "Ah! Oh yes. I'll tell my brother you've woken up. My brother will be so happy." Lu Jingli was about to make a call. Ningxi held his hand. "Wait. What's wrong? Where are your brother and Xiaobao now?" Ningxi asked. Lu Jingli looked at the clock on the wall and answered, "Xiaobao must be in school at this time. As for my brother, he's in a bar." Ningxi was startled. She thought she had heard wrong. "Bar? At this time? And Lu Tingxiao didn't drink?" Lu Jingli nodded and smiled bitterly. "You don't know. Ever since you fell into a coma, my brother's insomnia got worse and worse. Later, he could only get drunk in a noisy bar every night. I know he won't be able to take it if he continues like this, but if he doesn't vent and numb himself from the pain, he won't be able to take it anymore. Fortunately, sister-in-law, you're finally awake." Second young master. Lu Jingli blinked and said, "Sister-in-law, call me Jingli Jingli. We're family, so don't treat me like an outsider." Ningxi didn't notice anything wrong with Lu Jingli's words. After all, he often called her sister-in-law, so she corrected herself and said, "Well, Jingli, Xiaobao is in school. Let's not disturb him. Take me to your brother first." Lu Jingli was a little surprised. "Huh? Are you going to find my brother directly? You mean?" I want to give him a surprise, Ningxi said, her eyes flashing with a cunning light. Lu Jingli's mouth twitched. Ahem. Are you sure it's a surprise? Why do I feel like my brother will be scared to death by you? Sister-in-law, should we take it easy? You've just woken up, and you're already playing with such a big game? That's not very good, is it? Ningxi narrowed her eyes. I've been lying in bed for a year. I finally woke up. Can't I play for a while? The feeling that Ningxi gave him just now was too fleeting. Looking at the girl's familiar tone and demeanor, Lu Jingli nodded his head like a rattle drum. Yes. Yes, yes. You're too capable. Whatever you say, sir. Chapter 1782. In the bar. The music was deafening and the dazzling lights were flashing wildly along with the rhythm of the music on the dance floor. Lu Jingli led Ningxi directly into the bar through a special passage, and carefully guarded her by the side. When they reached the entrance, Lu Jingli suddenly stopped and said seriously, Wait. Sister-in-law, let's find something to cover your face. It's too eye-catching. With that, he took a sequin mask from the bar and put it on Ningxi. Then she felt a little safer. Ningxi looked around at the noisy environment and immediately understood why Lu Tingxiao came to this place to get drunk. Only a place like this could make people feel that they were still alive. At the thought of this, Ningxi's heart ached as if it was being gnawed by aphids. My brother is upstairs. Lu Jingli pointed in a direction on the second floor. The first floor was a lively dance floor and the second floor had a few special semi-enclosed private rooms suspended in mid-air. You could see everything below from the private rooms, but you couldn't see what was going on in the private rooms downstairs. You could have a bird's-eye view of the whole place without being disturbed. Sister-in-law, actually, I still think you should be gentler. For example, I was almost scared to death by you just now. Lu Jingli helped Ningxi upstairs and tried to persuade her. I'm not gentler. No. That's not what I meant. I just want to ask, how are you going to surprise my brother? So that I can be mentally prepared. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. I'm going to surprise your brother. What are you going to do? Don't dawdle and lead the way. Do you think I'll eat him? Of course not. Sister-in-law, how could you be such a person? Lu Jingli hurriedly said. Who said I'm not? It's just that I can't bite him with my current small body. Ningxi said regretfully. Lu Jingli. Ningxi was impatient with Lu Jingli's nagging and led the way to the floating private room. The tall and burly bodyguard in black at the door immediately blocked the way with a fierce look. Idlers, please stop. At this moment, Lu Jingli hurriedly caught up to him and asked, Is my brother inside? When the bodyguard saw Lu Jingli, his expression softened. Second young master, he's inside. Oh, that's good. Get out of the way and let her in, Lu Jingli ordered. The bodyguard vigilantly looked at the strange woman in front of him who was wearing a mask and couldn't see her face clearly. With an uncertain look he said, Second master this. All right, make way. I'll take responsibility if anything happens. Lu Jingli waved his hand. When the bodyguard saw that Lu Jingli had brought him here personally, and that he sounded so confident, he retreated to the side. With that, Lu Jingli was about to follow Ningxi inside. Ningxi raised her eyebrows and stopped. Why did you follow me in? Lu Jingli put on a fawning expression as he made his final struggle. Well, even if I go in, it won't affect your surprise, Ningxi smiled. If you're not afraid of being stuffed with dog food, then come in. Even if I can't drive, I can still stuff you to death. The next second, Lu Jingli immediately changed his words. Sister-in-law, please come in. I'll keep a lookout for you outside. Alas, take responsibility? What the fuck? Damn it, Xiao Sisi had made such a big fuss. He really couldn't take responsibility. But he had no choice. After all, he lived at the bottom of the food chain. Brother, don't blame me. I was forced to do this. Chapter 1783. Ningxi pushed the door open and entered. The structure of the private room was very simple. There was a shiny black coffee table and a U-shaped leather sofa. Looking past the semi-enclosed European-style railing, she could see all the hustle and bustle below. She saw that the private room was very clean and spotless. It was not as messy as she had imagined it to be. In fact, the surrounding noise was deafening, but this small corner of the world seemed to be isolated from the rest of the world, giving her an extremely cold and desolate feeling. The man sitting on the sofa attracted all her attention. The moment she saw that person, Ningxi felt all the sounds whizzing past her ears, and the dazzling lights around her instantly turned into darkness. In her eyes, there was only a ray of light left in the whole world. There was only this person in front of her. The man's brows were cold and his thin lips were tightly pursed. His eyes were slightly closed and one elbow was placed on the armrest of the sofa. The back of his hand was casually supporting his forehead. If not for the sizable number of empty wine bottles at the side, one would even think that he was just deep in thought and resting. This man was so disciplined even when he was getting drunk. Ningxi resisted the urge to cry and stood there calmly. She smiled and said, "Sir, do you need any service?" The girl's hoarse voice was mixed in the hustle and bustle. Scram. In the next second, a wine glass suddenly shattered at her feet. Although the wine glass did not hurt her, the man's overwhelming anger and cold aura was like the Grim Reaper's scythe that clutched her throat in an instant. However, the girl did not seem to feel the danger at all, and continued to walk towards the man. "Sir, are you sure? I believe that you will definitely be satisfied with me. Do you want to die?" The man on the sofa suddenly opened his eyes, and his gaze was like an ice blade as he shot straight towards the opposite side. At the same time, Ningxi's legs seemed to have a consciousness of their own. They crossed over everything and ignored everything as they strode towards the man without hesitation. All the messy thoughts in her mind that she wanted to give him turned into one thought. Get close to him. Hug him. Kiss him. "Ha, I miss you." In the next second, the girl took off the mask on her face and her soft body fell into the man's arms like a ball of cloud. At the same time, her petal-like lips pressed onto the man's lips without hesitation. When the familiar face entered his sight, when the soft body fell into his arms, when the girl's sweet scent filled his nostrils, the man's body tightened into a straight line. His hands, which were about to move, hung in the air because he suddenly lost control of his body. He just sat there motionlessly, waiting to be captured, allowing the girl to kiss him as she pleased, looking at the man who was full of murderous intent as if he was going to destroy the world a second ago. But in the next second, he instantly lost all his armor and exposed all his weaknesses. Ningxi felt a pain in her heart. Then, she suddenly used some strength and pushed the man down on the sofa. Her black hair fell on top of the man's head. The man's bottomless eyes stared fixedly at the girl in front of him. The hand that was holding the girl's waist suddenly tightened and trembled uncontrollably. "Hey, don't pinch me, you'll feel bad." The girl lay on the man's chest and whispered. Then, she bit down hard on the man's lips. "Sweetheart, I'm back." Chapter 1784. The long-lost smile. The vivid light, his life, his whole world, he was back. The man's eyes suddenly surged. He held the girl's head and kissed her desperately. The girl clung to the man's neck and kissed him back. However, in less than 10 seconds, Ningxi was dying. She turned her head away and kept panting on the man's shoulder. Slow down. I can't breathe. I feel terrible." The man's face suddenly changed. He suddenly turned over and sat up, putting the girl on his lap. "What's wrong?" "Oh, I'm fine. I just feel that my physical strength is much weaker than before. Damn it." He was prepared to use the heavenly thunder and earthly fire. "My body is so fucking weak." The man's face suddenly darkened. "Who allowed you to come?" "Lu Jingli. He brought me here." Ningxi betrayed Lu Jingli without hesitation, but she still explained conscientiously. "I forced him to bring me here, because I wanted to give you a surprise," the girl said with a smile in her watery eyes. "Mr. Lu, are you satisfied?" Ningxi didn't get a response from the man. She looked up suspiciously. "Why aren't you talking? It's real." The man's low voice came into her ears. "Ah, what?" Ningxi was puzzled. "It's the first time I've had such a real dream," the man said. Ningxi's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She didn't realize until now that the man's dark eyes were not focused. He was really drunk. "Stay with me for a while, okay?" The powerful man who was invincible and omnipotent in her eyes was now leaning against her neck. His voice was so fragile that it seemed as if it would break at the slightest touch. Ningxi opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. In the end she only said, "Okay." The man's arms instantly tightened, but he was afraid that the tighter he held her, the faster she would disappear. He suddenly loosened his grip on her and only dared to hug her lightly, kissing the corner of her lips, her collarbone, and fragmentary kisses. From Lu Tingxiao's reaction just now, she knew that even though he was drunk, he was still completely tense. And at this moment, the man was holding her in his arms, sleeping like a harmless baby. At the same time, outside the room, Lu Jingli stuck his whole body to the door like a gecko. Unfortunately, the surroundings were too noisy, and he couldn't hear a single word clearly. The corner of the bodyguard's mouth twitched as he looked at the person who completely disregarded his image. He wanted to say something but stopped. He suddenly sent a woman into the boss's private room, and now he was eavesdropping on his own brother. What on earth was going on? As time passed, Lu Jingli was so anxious that he almost pulled out all his hair. Fuck. It had already been 2 hours. What was going on inside? Why is there still no movement after so long? He was anxious to death. Didn't Cece say that she was too small to chew? Lu Jingli was worried and afraid that if he rushed in now, he would run into some kind of scene, so he could only worry helplessly outside. Thus, the wait lasted from noon to evening. Finally, Lu Jingli couldn't take it anymore. He pushed the door open and rushed in. Then, he saw that in the private room, a man was sitting on the sofa with a girl curled up in his arms. The two of them were snuggling and sleeping soundly. Because he sensed that someone had invaded his territory, the man was suddenly awakened. He frowned and opened his eyes unhappily. Before the cold light in the bottom of his eyes could spread, the man's body suddenly stiffened and he slowly lowered his head. The next second, he saw the girl in his arms. Chapter 1785. Sir, do you need any service? I miss you. Sir, are you sure? I think you'll be satisfied with me. Sweetheart, I'm back. Okay, I'll accompany you. The scenes from the dream came flooding back to him like a tidal wave. He thought that the greatest kindness God had shown him was to let him see her in his dream. If this was a dream, he would rather not wake up for the rest of his life. But he didn't dare to imagine that when he woke up, it wasn't a dream. It was real. Looking at his brother's dazed expression, Lu Jingli coughed and looked away. Brother, don't ask me, ask her. Just then, the girl in his arms rubbed her fluffy head against the man's chin like a cat. Then she yawned and opened her eyes in a daze. Then she kissed the man's lips. Oh, sweetheart, you're awake. Did you sleep well? Seeing that Ningxi was awake, Lu Jingli couldn't help but complain. Sister-in-law, you scared me. You didn't come out for so long. I thought you did something to him. Did you make it clear to my brother? Ningxi sat on Lu Tingxiao and swung her legs. She wrapped her arms around his neck and rolled her eyes at Lu Jingli. Do you think I'm stupid? Of course I told him. Lu Jingli was speechless. You told him, but why is my brother still so confused? I told you not to scare him, but you insisted on giving him a surprise. Now look at him. He's been scared silly by you. He was drunk and thought he was dreaming. I saw that he was so tired, so I let him have a good sleep first. When did I scare him? Sweetheart, did I scare you? I'm very gentle. If Sweetheart wants me to accompany him, I'll accompany him. If Sweetheart wants me to smile, I'll smile for him. If Sweetheart wants me to sing, I'll sing. Ningxi looked like an obedient little bunny. Lu Jingli didn't believe a word of it. As if I'd believe you. After a while, the two of them sat down on the sofa obediently. Strictly speaking, it was Lu Jingli who was sitting on the sofa obediently. Ningxi complained that the sofa was uncomfortable, and she was immediately carefully carried back to sit on his lap, with a layer of blanket on top of her. Lu Tingxiao's expression was extremely serious. What's going on? Ningxi echoed. Dumbass, Sweetheart wants you to explain. Lu Jingli was speechless. Fuck, why is it me? Everything was clearly your fault. You were the one who insisted on stirring up trouble. Ningxi. Darling, my throat hurts. Lu Tingxiao. Jingli, go ahead. Lu Jingli was so humiliated that he almost hit his head on the ground. He could only resign himself to his fate and explain to Lu Tingxiao how Ningxi woke up without missing any details. Lu Tingxiao frowned. She's messing around and you're not sober? I know I was wrong. Lu Jingli lowered his head and admitted his mistake. He was indeed in the wrong in this matter. He shouldn't have let this guy mess around. He had already regretted it before. Get all the doctors to wait in Deer Town. Also contact Annie. Lu Tingxiao ordered as though he was facing a formidable enemy. Okay. Ningxi muttered aggrievedly. I wasn't messing around. The first thing I wanted to do after waking up was to see you. Lu Jingli. After sleeping for a year, her flattery skills hadn't deteriorated at all. Lu Tingxiao's body trembled as he held the girl in his arms. Xiaoxi, I can't lose you a second time. Chapter 1786. Deer Town Garden House. After receiving the order, all the doctors were ready to go and were ready to fight. Ningxi's scalp went numb when she saw the white coats and complicated equipment in the room. Lu Tingxiao immediately sensed the girl's emotions. Be good. Your body needs a comprehensive checkup. It will be quick. Ningxi nodded obediently this time. After a thorough checkup. How is it? Lu Tingxiao's thin lips were pressed into a straight line. Lu Jingli was also nervous. The leading doctor pushed his spectacles up the bridge of his nose and looked at Lu Tingxiao with excitement and joy as he replied. All of Madame Lu's vital signs are normal. In fact, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it's a miracle for her to be able to maintain her current state. This is all thanks to Madame Lu's Good Health Foundation and proper care. Most importantly, the ointment concocted by the young miracle doctor is indeed miraculous. The slightly older specialist's tone was full of amazement. Back then, when Lu Tingxiao insisted on believing in that young girl and used those unknown drugs on the patient, he objected many times and even felt that his authority was being challenged. At this moment he couldn't help but sigh. There was no end to medicine. There were too many mysterious fields and people in this world that he didn't know about. She feels that her body is stiff, her strength is weak, her breathing is not smooth and her throat is uncomfortable. Is this normal? Lu Tingxiao asked one by one seriously, not daring to let his guard down. The doctor comforted him in a relaxed tone. Mr. Lu, I've done a checkup. It's not a big deal. After all, she has been lying in bed for so long. This is normal. I will arrange a complete rehabilitation plan for Mrs. Lu. I believe that with her body's foundation, she will recover soon. However, you must remember to take it step by step. Don't be too hasty, lest you hurt her foundation. She needs to recuperate properly. Lu Tingxiao noted them down. Thank you. Brother Shi. At this moment, the girl's trembling voice came from the door. Annie, hearing the girl's familiar voice, Ningxi immediately jumped down from the bed and walked towards the door. Brother Shi, slow down. You can't do strenuous exercise now. Still in shock, Annie went over to support him. The next second, her eyes were already red. Brother Shi, you're really awake. When second young master called me, I thought I was dreaming. Ningxi gently patted the girl's choking back. Don't cry. I'm awake now, aren't I? Annie, you've worked hard during this period of time. The doctor said that the ointment you gave me is very effective. Annie hurriedly shook her head and said, Brother Shi, it's not hard at all. In fact, I didn't do much. When you were seriously ill and in a coma, I couldn't help you at all. The only thing I could do was to slow down the deterioration of your physical functions as much as possible. Mr. Lu is in charge of collecting the medicinal herbs and nursing you. Annie, please take Xiaoxi's pulse, Lu Tingxiao said. Annie remembered the most important thing and hurriedly helped Ningxi to sit down. Brother Shi, come here and sit down. I'll help you. Okay. Ningxi sat down at the table and reached out her hand. Annie puts her fingers on Ningxi's pulse and starts to focus on feeling it. Everyone held their breath and stared at Annie, waiting for her diagnosis. Chapter 1787. After a long while, Annie confirmed it several times before finally withdrawing her hand. With a smile on her face, she said the same diagnosis as the expert. Brother Shi's pulse is a little slow and weak, but everything else is normal. The various functions of his body may not be used to it yet, but it's only a matter of time. If he rests well, he can completely recover to his previous state. It was only at this moment that Lu Tingxiao could finally relax the taut string in his mind. His girl, she was really back to him. The next second, Lu Tingxiao stretched out his hands and held the girl in his arms. Lu Jingli winked at the others and they all quietly left the room. For a moment, there were only the two of them hugging each other in the room. Ningxi hugged the man's obviously thinner waist and was full of heartache. "Sweetheart, are you still sleepy? Do you want to sleep a little longer?" The man gazed at her quietly. "I'm not sleepy." From the moment he woke up, the man's eyes never left the girl in his arms. He didn't want to miss a word, a trace of expression, or even the rise and fall of her body with each breath. "Don't drink so much in the future." "Okay. Eat well too. Dumbass said your stomach has been perforated several times." Ningxi frowned. "Okay. Same with Yan." "Okay." And Ningxi originally had a stomach full of reminders to say, but in the end, she withdrew all of them and only whispered with a smile. "Forget it anyway, I will always be by your side in the future." "Okay." The man suddenly tightened his arms around the girl and buried his head deep in the girl's neck. Ningxi felt the man's hot and moist tears on her neck, and her heart was grasped tightly. "I'm sorry to have made you worry." It was hard for her to imagine how he had spent the entire year waiting for her, how he had endured every single day, how he had endured every single night. Lu Tingxiao was worried about Ningxi's health. After a while, he carefully helped Ningxi sit down on the bed. "Did Jingli tell you what happened during this period?" Ningxi nodded. "Roughly, but he didn't ask about the details. I only know that I was quite popular in the entertainment industry at that time." Lu Tingxiao. "No one can compete with you." Hearing this, Ningxi was stunned. Lu Tingxiao's words instantly ignited the fire in her heart. She said, "Sweetheart, you are so eloquent. Did Mother win an award?" Ningxi asked. Golden Deer Award for Best Actress, Golden Throne Award for Best Actress, Golden Crown Award for Best Actress, Golden Palm Award for Best Actress, Best Chinese Film Award at the Lorraine Film Festival, Best Actress." Lu Tingxiao listed all the awards and honors Ningxi had won. Ningxi listened to all this and had a strong feeling that it was unreal, as if she was listening to someone else's story. She sighed and said, "Finally, I didn't let director Jiang down." Ninth Heaven also won Best Actress and Best Comedy. It broke 37 records and made you the most popular female artist in the country, Lu Tingxiao continued. One of them had given her a frightening amount of popularity, while the other had allowed her to win all the awards. These two dramas had pushed her to the highest position in the entertainment industry. But now, Lu Tingxiao didn't miss the flash of sadness in the girl's eyes. "You can still come back after retiring." Ningxi stared blankly at the man in front of her who always stood behind her. A cool breeze passed through the mountains and the lake. A light smile bloomed on the girl's face. "It doesn't matter. Since I was 18 years old, I've never stopped. Now I've gotten everything that I should have gotten, so I have no regrets. But now, I have something more important than dreams." Chapter 1788. The girl's clear and bright eyes were full of his figure. "And now, I have something more important than dreams." The man's heart seemed to have been hit hard. "Are you sure?" The girl chuckled. "I'll retire after my success. I just want to spend time with you and Xiaobao." If it had been her in the past, she would have been unwilling to retire from her peak. However, after taking a trip to the gates of hell, she clearly knew what was the most important thing in her life. The man leaned over and kissed the girl's forehead. "No matter what decision you make, Xiaobao and I will support you." Given Ningxi's current physical condition, what she needed the most was to recuperate. Rehabilitation wasn't something that could be done in a short time. He was most worried that after Ningxi woke up and found out everything, she wouldn't be able to accept being forgotten by everyone. He didn't expect his girl to surprise him once again. Oh right, Xiaobao should be out of school soon? Let's go pick him up from school? Ningxi looked at the time and said excitedly. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Okay, let's go pick him up. Wait, I need to change. Is there anything I can change into? She had left in a hurry to see Lu Tingxiao and hadn't changed her clothes. She had only put on a jacket. Yes, wait. A moment later, Ningxi changed into a light pink floral linen dress. Her long hair casually fell behind her head. Is this okay? You look good. Hairstyle? Very beautiful. After getting into the car, Ningxi was still checking herself. Lu Tingxiao, do you think Xiaobao will blame me? He will blame me for making him wait for so long. Ningxi was very nervous along the way, probably because she was close to him. Don't worry, he won't. Lu Tingxiao comforted her. This year, how has Xiaobao been? Ningxi asked hesitantly. Very good, I just miss you. After all, such a long time had passed and Ningxi was filled with unease. Will Xiaobao forget about me? Will he be estranged from me? Will Xiaobao grow taller? Will Xiaobao have other aunties he likes more? While he was lost in his thoughts, the car finally arrived at the school gate. This was no longer the kindergarten that Xiaobao had been in, but an elementary school. Xiaobao was already in the first grade. There were still 10 minutes before school ended, so Lu Tingxiao's car was quietly parked on the side of the road. Time ticked by abnormally slow second by second. Dong. Finally, the school bell rang again and again, echoing above their heads. The quiet school gate was suddenly filled with bustling voices. Children happily dashed out of their classrooms one after another. Ningxi passed through the crowd of students and parents. She anxiously waited. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, the number of people at the school gate gradually decreased, but Xiaobao was still nowhere to be seen. Ningxi couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Why hasn't Xiaobao come out yet? After waiting for a while, Ningxi finally saw a familiar figure when there was almost no one at the school gate. The little fellow was carrying a school bag, and his face was expressionless as usual. He was holding a square box in his hand. The moment she saw the little fellow, Ningxi burst into tears. Xiaobao has grown taller. Yes, I've grown taller by 6 centimeters. Chapter 1789. Lu Tingxiao pushed the door open and said, I'll pick you up. Don't wander around. There are too many people and cars here. Okay. Ningxi's eyes were fixed on Xiaobao, who was not far from the car window. She nodded absent-mindedly. Lu Tingxiao got out of the car and walked towards his son. Xiaobao, who was waiting at the door, walked towards his father as usual when he saw him. Lu Tingxiao gently rubbed his son's head. Why are you so late today? Xiaobao looked down at the box in his hand. I made a cake for mommy during handicraft class. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the cake and took it. Then he quietly held his son's hand and walked towards the car. The two of them passed by a stall with many trinkets on it. There were butterflies, grasshoppers, and other small animals made of bamboo. The stall owner saw a cute little boy staring at the things on his stall, and immediately greeted him warmly. Little boy, do you like it? Let your father buy you one. Xiaobao turned and left without lingering. It was not as good as mommy's. When they were about to reach the car, Xiaobao stopped and said, I'm going to Grandpa's today. Please bring the cake to mommy. Lu Tingxiao did not respond. Xiaobao frowned and looked at his father. Xiaobao thought that his father did not hear him, and was about to repeat himself. However, Lu Tingxiao interrupted him. Give it to her yourself. With that, he reached out to open the back seat door. Xiaobao's expression changed almost instantly. He slowly looked at the back seat where the car door was opened. The next second, the little boy was stunned as if he had seen something incredible. His expressionless little face was shocked to the extreme. He opened his mouth but could not say a word. Ningxi could no longer care about her turbulent emotions and hesitation. She got out of the car and leaned over to take the little boy into her arms. Baby. Xiaobao was surrounded by the warm and soft embrace. His eyes were wide open and a layer of mist quickly filled them. The mist quickly turned into tears and rolled down his cheeks silently, and the little boy finally called out shakily, Mommy. Sorry to make you wait so long, baby. Mommy. I'm here. Mommy. The little fellow hugged his mother's neck tightly and burst into tears. All the waiting, all the longing, all poured out at this moment. Holding Xiaobao, who was crying and gasping for breath, Ningxi felt so sad that her heart was about to break. I'm sorry. Baby, I'm sorry. Lu Tingxiao stood by the side with a gentle look in his eyes. Looking at the mother and son who were hugging and crying, he reminded Xiaobao softly, Don't you have something to give mommy? Only then did Xiaobao temporarily stop crying. Sobbing, he took the box from his father's hands and held it in front of his mother. For me? Ningxi asked. Xiaobao nodded. Ningxi carefully opened the box and saw a piece of cake inside. There was a picture drawn with jam on the cake. The simple lines outlined a woman sleeping on the bed, and beside the woman sat a small figure, her Xiaobao. He had never forgotten her. At the thought of the little fellow sitting alone on the edge of her bed every day, waiting for her to wake up, Ningxi's heart was filled with guilt. Why couldn't she wake up earlier? Thank you. Mom likes it very much. Thank you. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.